Hi everyone, this is Ross here at DePauw University, and today I'm going to walk you through a tutorial making a Hello World application for the Android operating system. We're going to use a very simple development environment. It's web browser based, and it's called the Android App Inventor. It's still in beta, so it's going to run a little bit slow, and I'm going to warn you ahead of time. I'm probably going to end up moving a little bit faster through the video than you can physically when you're going through the tutorial with me, because I'm going to end up cutting out a lot of the dead space when things are trying to load, and you'll experience the same thing with things loading, and it takes a little while. Go ahead and go to Google and type in App Inventor, and it's the first thing that pops up here, about App Inventor for Android. It's going to bring you to this web page here where you can watch a video of someone quick. It's not really a tutorial, but they're showing you, how simple it is to use the App Inventor to create whatever application, very limited application, you would like for your Android phone. Go ahead and click the Get Started link here, and it's going to give you your system requirements. It's a cross-platform environment, so you can develop on Windows or on Mac. Mac OS X. You're going to need a specific browser, not just one, but there are a list of several browsers that it will work with, so you got to develop in one of those. And you'll also need to have Java 6 running. After you've met all those system requirements, go ahead and download the packages that they'd like you to download and install whatever applications are there. You'll end up using it in the development. Once you've got that taken care of, go up here to the right hand side and click on My Projects. Once you've started your development and you've got several projects, they'll show up here in a table. But right now we've got none, so we're going to go ahead and do a new project. I'm going to call it Hello World. You can't have any spaces or special characters in your project name. Go ahead and click OK. As you can see, it populated that table, and now we're brought to the view here. It's a very simple interface of dragging and dropping objects onto the interface. But as you'll see, it's very limited as to what we can do. I'm going to go ahead and change the title on our screen here. I'm going to call it Hello World Application. That way when it runs in the emulator, you'll be able to see that at the top. The first thing we're going to add to our view is a text button. And already you can see some of the limitation to this development environment. You can't just place it anywhere you'd like. There may be containers. I haven't done a whole lot of developing in this yet, so I don't know if there's a way to maybe get it so that you can put it right in the center, but for simplicity's sake, we're going to let it go ahead and attach itself where it wants. I'm going to rename this button. I'm going to call it ACTBTN, my shorthand for action button, because when we click it, an action is going to take place. And we can go ahead and manipulate some of the properties here on the right, such as the text field. I'm going to have the button say push to show text. As you can see, it changed in the view. Another thing that I want to change, so that's a little bit easier to click and might look a little bit nicer, is change the width. You can set pixels if you'd like. I'm just going to go ahead and make it nice and big and fill the parent, which is the screen right now. Click OK. There we go. So, as you can see, it's the width of the screen because that is its parent. Therefore, it's going to fill it because we set it to fill parent. Now the next object that we are going to add to our view is not an image but a label. And we're going to go ahead and rename that label to action label, ACTLBL, my shorthand again. And we're going to go ahead and again manipulate some of the properties. We're going to change the text. I'm going to change it to Hello Android World. As you can see, it changed there. I'm also going to change the width again to fill parent. I'm going to change the text color, scroll down here to red. I'm going to go ahead and make this font a little bit bigger, nicer, not 300 but 30, nice and big. And to make it look even nicer, I'm going to center the text alignment. As it says here, these are your components. Whatever the name is here, that's what's going to be in the block builder. You don't necessarily have to rename your objects. I find it easier to have it that way, so that say you've got 40 objects on your canvas, you might have several different buttons, several different labels. It just helps keep things straight. So now we've got all the objects that we want for this application on the canvas. The one thing that I almost forgot to do was to go ahead and change the visibility property, because there's no point in pushing to show text if the text is already being shown. So we're going to go ahead and hide that text, that label. We're going to save our project here. Save. Okay, it's saved. And then we're going to open the block editor. And you'll be prompted to download a special file, and it'll download. It's probably going to check your Java, and as you can see, it's taking a little bit. It's going to load for you eventually, though. So here is our Android block editor, and here is where all of our logic is going to take place. There's no coding in this development environment. It's simply drag and drop, connecting things. As long as you can read and you understand the logic behind it, you can make several things happen. Again, it's very limited, so you've got to remember what you're given to develop with and what you want to do. So there's two different tabs here. You've got the built-in logics, and as you can see, definition, text, lists, etc. There's different blocks in each of these that do different things. But then there's also my blocks, so the button that we added, there's logic in there for that. The label that we added, there's logic in there for that. And a lot of that logic is to manipulate properties of those objects. We need to use an if-else statement, because we're going to make our label show and hide based on button clicks. So go ahead and go to Control and grab the if-else puzzle piece, block piece, whatever you want to call it. And in each if-else, any sort of construct like this, you're going to have a test case. And what we're going to test is the visibility property of our label. So we've got if the true, false, it's a boolean that's going to get returned. I'm going to turn up the volume. There's nice little sounds of blocks kind of connecting to each other. Show you here. But as I was saying, if the test case that the action label visibility property equals true, so if it is showing, what we want to do is again take that action label and set the visibility to go into our logic here under built-in. I want to set it to false. So if it's showing, we're going to set it to be not showing. And likewise, I believe, yes, no, you can't do a copy paste there. Go back into action label, and you want to grab that set label visibility again, click it in. In the case that it's not visible, we are going to make it visible. We're going to set the visibility property to true. Now, I kind of forgot a little part here. We want this if-else statement to occur if our action button is clicked. As you can see, it kind of encompasses our if-else statement when you drag it in. So when the action button is clicked, do this. We're going to run the if action label visibility property is true, because that's going to return a value true. Then we want to take the label, set the visibility property to false. We want to hide it. If it's not showing, so if action visibility is false, we're going to take the action label visibility and set it to true, make it show. So go ahead, it's saved automatically. We're going to run a new emulator, and this is going to take a little bit to run, so bear with me when it, just be patient, go ahead and pause the video, I'll end up jumping ahead to it. As you can see, we've got this nice little warning about how slow it might be and then what to do. Okay, so your emulator has now loaded, and the preparing SD card little warning in this bar here has already shown up, as was described by the little pop-up. It means it's done loading. Go ahead and slide the lock across, And now we have to connect our emulator to our development environment so that we can run this code that we just built. As you can see, the name of it is 5554, and as the browser picked it up. So go ahead and click that, and again, this is going to take a little bit of time for it to connect. So now your device is connected to the development environment, and the application should show up in the emulator. Now, with this code that we have, we've already built in, we don't see the label, so if we click this button, it should show it. Sure enough, it does. And if we click it again, it hides the text. So, the only thing that I want to do now to show that you can manipulate more properties using that if-else statement is when you have this label showing, push to show text isn't really an accurate description of what exactly the button is going to have do for us. So I'm going to manipulate the title property of this button for each button click. So we're going to go back into our development environment, and we're going to go to our action button tab here, and we're going to set the action button text. We're going to do this twice. And as you can see, it clicks and you can move things around if you, for your sake of however you're used to coding. I'm going to go ahead and drop that in here too. And so now we go into the built-in and we go to text. Grab your text block, snap it in. We need another text block, snap it in down here. And now you can double click into this text box and you can make it whatever you want. So this first statement again is if the text is showing. So, if it's showing, and we're setting it so that it would be not visible anymore, which in the event that that happens, it's not visible, so we want the button to say push to show text, the original text on that button. So in this case, when the label is not shown, then we're making it show. We want the button to say push to hide text. So this now, if we save it, as you see when we run it in the emulator, should change the text property of the button. So go ahead. What you should probably do first is close down that emulator that you're running before, and then do a new emulator and connect again. Now your emulator is completely loaded. Go ahead and unlock it. You want to connect the device again to the environment. Your emulator is now connected and you've got the application running in the emulator. And now it's time to demonstrate what our code here is actually doing. So we go ahead and click, and sure enough, our button text is changed to push to hide text. We click it again, this is push to show text. Hopefully this tutorial has been helpful, get you introduced to the App Inventor for Android, and I hope that I will have future tutorials for you, and have a great day.